Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, our production of Gore Call, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they've been put important news. With us today, because he keeps pouring it on, is Ian Patterson, CEO of Plurilock Systems, trades in Canada, the stock symbol PLUR for friends in the US, PLCKF. To understand the company, you just got to understand one thing, guys. We're seeing it every day. The global cybersecurity market is forecast to grow to about $350 billion by 2026 for obvious reasons. We're all online, and so are the bad guys. Until now, most people think when it comes to cybersecurity of firewalls, passwords, biometrics, two-factor authentication, and even though those are the dominant solutions today, the bad guys right now are winning the battle when you consider the following. Cybercrime itself, not cybersecurity, but cybercrime itself is expected to grow from 6 trillion in 2021 to 10.5 trillion by 2025, right? Massive problem, needs even more and more solutions. Plurilock brings an entirely different and exciting approach to cybersecurity. Authenticate a person's identity using behavioral biometrics. So that's new. So behavioral biometric basically is, for example, right now on this keyboard, the way you type on your keyboard, the way I move my mouse creates an identity signature that's completely unique to me, like a digital key. So if I apply how Plurilock applies this, imagine that even if someone got through the doors, through the windows, through the locks, whatever the case may be, Plurilock would still know that a bad guy, a bad player on my computer is not me by the way they type and the way they're moving the mouse. So even if they get through, Plurilock recognizes it and shuts the intruder out or allows the company to do whatever it thinks it wants to do in those kind of situations. More than just lip service, Q3 revenues, hold on your seats, 15.2 million versus 170,000 a year ago and $9 million last quarter. 9-month revenues, 24 mil. I'm rounding up just the scooch there, but no problem, versus $350,000. And you talk about orders from Department of Defense, U.S. Air Force, Navy, and just recently, California State Utility Organization, but the contract talked about today, in order with a California-based pension fund. Ian, congratulations. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, George. Always good to be here.
Congrats on this. Before we get into details, how big is this for Plurilock to have a California-based pension fund now adopt your cybersecurity solutions?
Well, I think it's important to not only look at the specific order, but how we got it, right? And so if we rewind the clock a little bit, you know, the first time I was on your show, we said, look, we've got a two-pronged strategy. The reason that we're public is that we want to acquire great cybersecurity companies with tremendous customers, and that we wanted to ultimately use that distribution to cross-sell our high-margin software products. And so what we did was we've gone out and we've acquired 2 companies so far, Aurora in California, and more recently we acquired Integra in Ottawa. And what we said was we wanted to then introduce our Defend product, which is our flagship continuous authentication and identity assurance product, to those customers. Now, the reason this particular order with a pension fund is so exciting is that that pension fund was a long-standing customer of Aurora's. You know, Aurora was perceived as the trusted advisor to that pension fund for their IT and cybersecurity needs. And we were successful in first introducing the concept of Defend, and that ultimately led to a purchase. And so effectively, this is another data point that we are continuing to execute on the strategy of acquisition and then cross-selling. And that's really why it's so exciting.
How long did it take from the time, from the time you acquired Aurora, you're introduced to this fund? The name obviously isn't out there for obvious reasons. For you then to introduce your Plurilock cybersecurity solution and for them to adapt it, because it seems like it came across, it all happened kind of quick.
Well, sure, but I mean, there's a lot of work in the back office, right?
Yeah.
That you typically don't see. So, we acquired Aurora last year, and after that acquisition, obviously we have to integrate that.
Right.
The steps on our side when we go through is that we then have to educate that sales team that is now working for Plurilock. Hey, here's the systems Here's how it works. Here's why it's valuable to customers. Here are the problems that we can solve for customers, because ultimately that's what we're focused on. And then from there, once they're up to speed, then we then take that to market. We introduce that to the customers. We go through. A lot of times, particularly financial services, they already have a really good sense of what their risks are internally. In this case, this specific pension fund, they already had multi-factor authentication, MFA. They felt that it was not sufficient for the risks that they experienced. And so they needed something more. That more turned out to be Defend. I think another key item here is that the particular pension fund was looking to advance on their zero trust journey. So zero trust is more of a set of principles. It's not a true compliance standard yet, but it is this idea that, look, if you're working for a company, particularly if you're working remote, you cannot just assume that it's the right person on the device, even if you've logged in, let's say 2 hours ago or maybe 8 hours ago. And so Defend played a really important role in both reducing that risk for that fund, as well as increasing their sophistication and their journey of zero trust. I think the last thing that I would say, George, is that there are a lot of similar funds, be it pension funds or otherwise, who I think are on the same path. And part of what I find so exciting about this one fund in particular is that this is now a great reference to then be able to show other funds to say, look, here's an example of how we can help your specific institution.
And pension funds are critical, right? Because they typically have very sensitive data for tens, even hundreds of thousands of members at the end of the day. So do you think that this is going to be a great market, another great vertical for you guys, where you just start going after different funds and pension funds?
Well, I'd say that it's another data point. We have a number of financial services customers already who have purchased the Defend product, both banks as well as other types of financial institutions. So we lump that all together in the banking, financial services, and insurance, the BFSI market. And that's always been one of the key markets that we've said. And so, again, George, the reason that we're so excited about this one is that we not only have resulted in this sale, but it's exactly the type of sale and the manner in which we've acquired that sale as what we said we were going to do, right? And so I think it's one thing to just kind of stumble into a sales opportunity and get some revenue. That's great. But I think it's even better when you can actually point to the strategy that you set out previously and then show how you are progressing on that strategy. And that's exactly what we've done.
Well, what's that famous line? You and I need a cigar right now to say, I love it when a good plan comes together, right? Because that's essentially what's happened. You telegraphed that this is exactly what you want to do, right? Acquire great companies, introduce the software, your specific software to their customers, and cross-sell. So are you finding that obviously you've had other or you're having other presentations, you're talking to, how does the pipeline look? But more importantly, not the size of the pipeline, because obviously you guys are doing very well, but how's the reaction from, you're presenting to GeorgeCom right now, you're in a cycle with GeorgeCom and ABC Tech, are they all having the same reaction as this California-based pension fund?
Well, I think that so not only GeorgeCom and ABC Tech, but I think that entire industries are having the same reaction, which is, hey, are we really sure that our cyber defenses are up to speed, or up to date, I should say, given the war in the Ukraine and the geopolitical tensions? So I'd say one of the things that we're hearing a lot, both from BFSI, banking, financial services, and insurance, but also other industries, is that there's a high degree of concern around what a nation state conflict will look like and how that's going to translate into private companies. We certainly saw in the beginning stages of the Ukraine conflict, there were a number of German critical infrastructure, power plant, oil and gas facilities that were hit and actually taken offline. Even home in Canada, we saw the Global Affairs Federal Department also disclosed that they were breached. And so there is a lot of geopolitical tension. And anytime that occurs, it always is a good reminder for companies and government agencies to really take stock and say, are we up to speed? Now, we see that as a problem that these organizations have, and we are standing by. And as you say, we're actively having conversations around helping our potential customers with those problems.
Yeah, not a great problem that you want to see happen around the world, but it's happening. So it's good for all shareholders of Plurilock that Plurilock's able to be part of the grand scheme of solutions. And speaking of shareholders, so obviously they love the win. It further validates the technology because at the end of the day, you know, you're putting your money where your mouth is, or the California-based pension fund has says, yes, this works, we want it. Let's talk ballpark. I don't think you put any numbers out about this win, but in terms of revenue model back to the company, how does the company make money off of a sale like this?
Well, great question. So, you know, again, strategy had been to acquire profitable cybersecurity companies with great customers. Now, typically those organizations have a fairly low gross margin, you know, anything 5, 10, 20% gross margin. Still great businesses, still profitable, but ultimately we saw those as opportunities for distribution. Now, when you look at the Defend products from our Plurilock technology division, and so we're organized in 2 divisions. We have a solutions division with Aurora and Integra, and then we have a technology division where our Defend product is. On the technology division side, there we're looking at 80+% gross margins. So again, comparison, you know, 5, 10, 15% gross margin on the solutions division side. Great distribution, great opportunity to still you know, work with those customers and be the trusted advisor for those customers. But then cross-selling the technology division products, definitely a game changer there when it comes to the gross margin profile of those types of products. And ultimately, you know, George, what we've always said is that we want to cross-sell those higher margin products through the distribution channels, and ultimately that's that's where we hope to realize margin expansion is the changing revenue mix as the technology division products increase in overall percentage of revenue as a result of those cross-sells.
Well, look, everybody out there can talk the talk in terms of business plans, right? In your case, you're walking the walk because you're making the acquisitions, you're cross-selling, it's happening. So how's the rest of the year look? Because I'm assuming now you guys are in a really, with both Aurora and Integra, especially with Aurora, because you made the acquisition mid last year. Does it feel like the company's really starting to roll on the cross-sell side of things?
I'm very excited about what the forward outlook is for Plurilock. Unfortunately, you know, I'm cautious about what the world looks like going forward. You know, I think there's a lot of risk out there, both from the traditional cybercrime groups, as well as now a lot of nation state conflict that has increased in frequency as well as severity relative to last year. So, you know, my where I spend my time is I try and spend as much of it with our customers as possible and future customers, and ultimately helping them with their cyber defenses. And so, you know, the more that we can do to help them, I think is going to be ultimately good for Plurilock, but unfortunately it's foreshadowed by you know, a changing geopolitical climate that has me concerned. So kind of a glass half full situation. I think you can kind of look at it from one of 2 sides. But I mean, absolutely, in terms of the integration of Aurora and Integra, very, very pleased with how that's going. I think we've got you know, some good models now, and certainly we learned some things with the initial Aurora acquisition that we're then taking into Integra. So hopefully, you know, not stubbing our toe the same way, and excited about what the rest of the year has to bring.
M&A has obviously played a very big role in the growth of the company, but what I like is that you're not just counting on M&A. Yeah, you're not just a roll-up play. You're doing what we're just talking about. So we don't need to revisit that and keep going. But I'm more curious as to, do you see this M&A continuing at this kind of pace? Because you guys, it's a pretty strong pace you guys are at right now with the size of companies that you're bringing into the Plurilock family.
Well, I think that we're quite conscious about making sure that anything we do, whether that's organic or inorganic, is ultimately going to be beneficial for shareholders. And you know, as the overall markets change, that certainly has an impact and changes how we think about going out and executing on M&A. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're we're focused on increasing shareholder value and not maybe doing things that don't make sense. And so, that's part of it. I think the other part, George, is that it takes two to actually consummate an M&A deal. And so not only is it what Plurilock wants to do, but it also has a lot to do with what the companies want to do. Do they want to sell? Do they want to hang on? How does the current climate actually affect them? So, George, I think what we're trying to do is take this on a case by case basis. If there is an opportunity there that makes sense, that we believe is the right thing to do, that's going to increase shareholder value, and that ultimately is the right thing for the long term, then certainly we're going to take a look at that. If there's not, then that's okay. We've got our hands full, just cross selling against the current distribution that we have. So it's
well, look, your 9-month revenues, if you didn't do anything else, and that was it for M&A for a while, your 9-month revenues are $24 million versus $350,000 from the same period the year before. So it's not like you need to, and you've got a lot to absorb there. But you guys have obviously done a great job about that. I'm just more curious about whether that's going to. And I'm assuming that wins like this with the California-based pension plan probably help when you want to acquire GeorgeCom, CyberSec, or something like that, because you can point to successful integrations, then successful cross-selling and showing that the plan is actually working.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. When we're having conversations with prospective acquirees, they're always wondering, well, who is Plurilock? Like, why should I sell to Plurilock instead of some private equity firm? And one of the key things that we highlight is the fact that Plurilock is an active operational company with proprietary high margin software. Keep in mind what a lot of these, particularly smaller businesses, lack is anything differentiated. Some capability or product that they can just say, look, we have this, nobody else does. Well, great news, Plurilock is that, right? And so that is actually very, very attractive. And I think it also helps too that we are operators ourselves. Right, we are in there. We're in it on a daily basis. We're not just a passive fund, looking to make.
You're not a bunch of bankers and lawyers just looking to stack up the balance sheet and income statement in order to package it up and sell it to the next the next big entity. You guys are actual operators. What it takes.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Ian, congratulations. I'm going to leave last word to you. If there's anything you want to let your shareholders know above and beyond that we've discussed, but as far as I'm concerned, you guys are hitting out of the park, and nothing goes perfect, nothing goes in a straight line, but you guys are making it look easy. That's for sure. Well,
I'm glad we're making it look easy, because it's a ton of hard work in the background, and I'm thankful to the team that we have, and actually the team that we've recently grown. One of the other things just over the last couple of weeks is that we officially added a chief revenue officer and a chief operating officer. The chief revenue officer very focused on revenue across both divisions. And the reason that we did that was we wanted to obviously keep doing what we're doing on the solutions division side, keep doing what we're doing on the technology division side, but then actually make sure that everything that we're doing is with this cross-selling motion in mind. So he's focused exclusively on that. And then on the chief operating officer role, the individual we brought on board was actually a former HSBC executive, and is extremely focused on cost control. And so, we've got the yin and the yang now that we've added to the team, and really excited about the upcoming year.
Growing top line, growing bottom line, deals, deal flow, growing everything. They're all going in the right direction, Ian. Thanks so much. Congratulations to you and the whole team.
Thanks, George.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform. Ian Patterson, CEO of Plurilock Security, trades in Canada under PLUR. For our friends in the US, PLCKF. For those new to the story, you want to start your due diligence. There it is, right over his left shoulder. It's pointing that out as well. To do your due diligence, two ways to do that. First, get to the company's profile page in the GoreCom, because we know this is brand new for a lot of investors. Plus, Plurilock's technology on its own is brand new. So we got some great videos to show you how it works. You got to go check that out. And then once you've done that, hop over to the Plurilock website, do your deep dive due diligence. Guys, if you believe in the unfortunate but growing market for cybersecurity and cybersecurity solutions, then you got to do your due diligence on Plurilock. Just don't say 12 months from now, we didn't tell you so. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.